Welcome to the Our Ability podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Before we,
Absolutely.
yeah, before we get going, if the two of you would just introduce yourself, say who you are. I read your bios, but and a little bit about yourself personally. I'd love to know more about you, and I know our listeners would. Em, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I would love to. So, hi, my name is Emily Doffing. Feel free to call me Em. I use she, they pronouns. And it's honestly a privilege to be the coordinator for DREAM. I like to joke that it's my dream job, but it's also the truth. So, DREAM stands for Disability Rights, Education, Activism, and Mentoring. It's a national organization by and for college students with disabilities, and it was established in 2011. 5 years later, DREAM became a part of the National Center for College Students with Disabilities, also known as the NCCSD. Something I really am privileged to be a part of is that we currently have 83 chapters and affiliates, which are basically disabled student groups on campuses across the nation. As DREAM, we connect disabled students and their allies through our communication networks and free events. So I organize the events, I manage the chapters and affiliates, and I conduct disability research. So for example, our research projects include focusing on minority serving institutions and the discussion of disability and anti-DEIA bills in the US. And I look forward to talking about DREAM more.
That's great. I've done a lot of work throughout New York and New England on college campuses, and to the empowerment of students with disabilities on campuses is fantastic. So that's got to be very fulfilling and enjoyable. So congratulations. Marcia from HERC, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Sure. So I'm Marcia Silva, the Marketing and Communications Director for the National Office of HERC, which stands for Higher Education Recruitment Consortium. And I've been with HERC for 5 years. I've spent most of my career in the nonprofit sector. So I've worked on issues like violence prevention, health disparities, and hunger. HERC is my first time working in higher ed and workforce development. So HERC is a membership association. It connects colleges, universities, hospitals, and research institutions nationwide to improve hiring practices and workplace culture. So we're really committed to building workplaces where people from all backgrounds feel supported and empowered to thrive. And another aspect of our job or our work is to broaden the pipeline. We really want to grow the higher ed talent pipeline with a focus on boosting representation. So we have a website, HERCJobs.org, which offers a job board, career tips. It's really for those looking to start or grow their careers in higher ed. And I really do want to promote our free ebooks. We just released a revised edition of our ebook for professionals with disabilities. It includes like interview tips and knowing your rights. And we have some new chapters on networking and evaluating inclusive workplaces. So definitely check out our website. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
So, Marcia, we've had HERC jobs from Metro New York City on our jobs board for 7 years, I think, and so we're very familiar, and we know that you guys get a lot of hits. At least the Metro New York people do. They get a lot of hits to the job, so we're very familiar with that. So it's a great resource. I recommend everybody to take a look, not only at HERC's jobs on our website, but on their own. Please do that. Marcia, talk to me a little bit about what you think the biggest example of a challenge is right now for HERC, national, regional. You can pick whichever you prefer, but give everybody some perspective on what you guys may be dealing with today from a challenge standpoint.
Yeah, so I'm going to point out two challenges I think that are impacting HERC both nationally and regionally. A big one is budget issues. A lot of our member institutions are working with tighter budgets, which, they're always looking for cost-effective ways to recruit and retain talent. So that's a constant challenge. And then the budget issues are also flowing over into hiring freezes or slowed searches. So that makes it harder to build strong, diverse teams. And I think the big elephant in the room, challenge two, would be the political climate right now.
Yeah.
The shifting political climate impacts higher ed in real ways, from policy changes to how institutions are perceived, and that's adding uncertainty for both employers and job seekers. So, higher ed right now isn't always seen as an appealing career path. So part of our work is helping institutions showcase the value and opportunities that the field still offers.
Yeah, I spent yesterday at a university retreat, and I heard a lot of exactly what you just said. And
Yeah.
in this retreat, they were talking about sort of the transitioning of employees. You know, certain departments were getting cuts, other departments were staying strong, and it was those online departments that are and support were staying strong. So it's interesting to see the transition, and no doubt we were talking about it offline before we started this, that we're all living in this political climate right now, and it's affecting every one of us in the disability space. And the reality is we have to be fully aware of that. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that, and I'm sure it presents quite a lot of challenges for you. Um,
Yeah.
and what are some examples of what's going on college campuses? And as I said, you know, I see the empowerment of students with disabilities, and that makes me hopeful. But uh, don't take it from me. You tell me what you're seeing on college campuses.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the damage that's happening on college campuses, but then also the desire-based change that's happening on campuses. So just to start off, Disability Cultural Centers, or DCC for short, are in a very evolving time because of this political climate, to say the least. So some disability cultural centers that were planned to open are under hiring freezes. Some are being reduced and combined with other college cultural centers, which sees students as a monolith, and then some are unfortunately closing altogether. However, this is not stopping disability advocacy efforts. In fact, I would say it's driving us further to conduct the sustainable work that's aligned with diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So, for example, this summer, the DCCs gathered in San Francisco to visit with the first municipally funded DCC. And over 3 days, we started co-writing a charter with the missions and goals of DCCs across the nation, with various laws and regions and campuses politics to abide by, but then also the work that students are doing to build change on their campuses, building community, and really advocating for the success and determination of disabled college students and creating culture with their allies. We are even co-writing a book interviewing disability cultural centers to tell their stories, their history, and to really document the success and challenges so further disability cultural centers can pop up across the nation, both in cities and on college campuses. And I just further hope that this this fostering of empowerment continues that is aligned with the disability justice principles that Sins Invalid proclaimed.
Yeah, you know, I was like I said, I was on a college campus yesterday, and we were in the offices of this Disability Cultural Center. So good for you, and good for them, and good for any of the cultural centers that are up and running and growing. And so hopefully they're taking advantage of Dream and all that you have to offer. So that's fantastic. Part of that culture is why we're here today. It started as a thought in my head, and then it expanded into conversations with all of us, and that is trying to empower in our own voice. And if you go on any of our Instagrams, but if you go on Our Abilities Instagram specifically, you're going to see some hashtag My Disability Story videos. And what I had wanted to do was to create a working group that would support the idea of empowering the voices of people with disabilities. And so that's why we're all here. And so I'm proud to be talking about that. But Marcia, can you in your voice explain what you think my disability story is and why HERC got involved?
Yeah, so I really think the campaign, we're celebrating young professionals with disabilities and highlighting their journeys as they launch successful careers. And really the goal is to showcase lived experiences and amplify diverse voices and build a more inclusive community. So the reason why HERC is involved, I mentioned earlier, our mission is to improve higher education recruitment practices and workplace culture. And we conduct an annual workforce survey. So our data makes it clear that employees with disabilities bring real commitment and talent to higher ed. And we want to see, want our member institutions to see and value that. Our survey showed employees with disabilities stay in higher ed because of flexibility, but they often feel undervalued and isolated. And I think navigating accommodations adds extra pressure. So spotlighting their stories reveal why flexible practices, genuine recognition, and intentional culture building are essential for retention and inclusion. So, data is data from our survey, but I think the stories that we can get through this campaign are really going to show the truth, in terms of what this community needs.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. And as the disability employment organization that we are, we understand that people with disabilities are 2.5 times more likely to be under the poverty level. Yet we do have more education. Education's an easier pathway than employment and entrepreneurship. So there's a massive disconnect between after you leave school and when you start your career. And we've understood that fully. And that the real effective unemployment rate for individuals with disabilities in the U.S. alone is north of 65%. So, to be able to find that job that provides you the flexibility and support and stability is really important. And I was thinking about that yesterday as again, I was on that university retreat, that this is a great place to be, especially if you have a disability, either disclosed or not disclosed, visible or invisible, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And it's a great example of what my disability story can be, which is in our own voice saying exactly that and how it's empowered. Same question. Why is Dream involved? And maybe I'll tweak it a little bit for you. How can more people get involved with hashtag My Disability Story? Because it's, quite frankly, it's your generation that's going to need to be the leaders down the road. We're going to be gone. You're going to be here. So what should we all be doing? And why did you get involved?
Yeah, so I would say that social media has been a great resource for connecting disabled people across the world, honestly. To share the wisdom that we have as disabled people is very important, and even more important in this time. So Dream's mission is to advance the interests of disabled students. So whether it's student rights, accessibility, social change, support, and mentorship. And that's exactly what hashtag My Disability Story does. It amplifies disabled voices. And through disability storytelling, we promote peer support and the exchange of ideas that are being oppressed. We also promote the participation of disabled students in all aspects of campus life and across disciplines. And we always encourage collaborations with those interested in our missions and goals.
That's fantastic. We did a call to action, and then we edited the first bunch that you'll see up on Instagram and Facebook. But quite frankly, I want people to turn their phone around and record themselves and do it on their college campuses or do it at their employment setting, or if they're working for a school or whatever. That's what I hope happens. So, we're here today to talk to all of you to turn the cameras on yourself and tell us who you are. And that really is great. And when I did the call to action, I got so many great raw videos. We certainly couldn't use them all, but it was great to see people in their own dorm setting or their own work setting and turn the camera on themselves and talk about how they felt about themselves. And that's really, really what this is about. And as a person with a disability, the older I get, the more I realize how important it is to be proud of who I am and what I'm doing. I felt that when I was on Syracuse University's campus in 1987, but I feel it more today. And so I'm hoping we get more people to do that. Marcia, how can people get involved, especially allies? How can others get involved?
Yeah, well, I think, as I was saying, like higher ed is kind of dealing with a lot right now, and I just want to make sure people understand higher ed is still a great place to find meaningful careers that impact and inspire leaders of tomorrow. So if you're exploring careers or searching for jobs, check out our website, HERCJobs. sign up for our emails for our updates on articles or events. We do host virtual career fairs, and I think our next one are actually, we're having one today, but our next one will be in the new year. But just and similar with your job board, John, it's both our job boards, they're really mission-driven job boards, right? Like the employers that post on our job boards are committed to fostering inclusive workplaces, and they want this talent. So just know that when you go to our websites, that the employers there really are committed. And yeah, I think that's an extra step already, just going to the right websites and finding those opportunities there. It's great.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
As we're talking, I'm thinking about a question that pops up to me, and that is, how many disability cultural centers are there around the country? And if we could get one person at each one to do a my disability story, how powerful would that be?
That'd be extremely powerful. So the number is evolving because there are some disability cultural centers in the works that are pushing through any barriers that happen. And then there are also disability cultural centers that started out online, but now are getting physical spaces on their campuses, which is very powerful. I believe that we have over 24 disability cultural centers that are active in the US, and I can double check after to make sure of that. So with that, I just want to say that you can also get the list of our chapters and affiliates. All 83 are posted on our website with their contact info. So if you're wanting to start a student group on your campus, or even advocate for a disability cultural center down the line, feel free to reach out to people and to get their lived advice and expertise on how to make change happen. And connecting with Dream is exactly what we can do to make sure that you have all the support that you can get and that you deserve as well. And likewise, feel free to follow us on our social media platforms. Our Instagram is Dream Disability, and then our Facebook and LinkedIn pages are Dream Disability Rights, Education, Activism, and Mentoring. And then I also encourage people to check out our upcoming events. So we have, related to disability cultural centers, we have a DCC activist panel where we get to learn from the students who advocated and created DCCs on their campus. We also have a webinar about what to do if you run into accessibility and accommodations issues on your campus. And also a town hall where chapters and affiliates, or people interested in becoming a chapter and affiliate, can really learn from each other. And definitely we'll tell them about hashtag My Disability Stories in the town hall, so we can also make sure to share with even a wider audience. And then for fun, yeah.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go.
Oh, yeah,
but I've got an idea.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, in some of our fun events that are really community-based are a guided tea tasting. We have co-working sessions to get that body doubling effect for ADHDers, a virtual accessible game night, and then an open mic for artists and creatives.
That's so cool. I'm sitting here thinking about the career fair, Marcia, and the cultural centers, right? They should use this hashtag for their purposes too, right? That if they add, sure, we would all love to be at Our Ability, like to be tagged, Dream would like to be tagged, HERC would like to be tagged, but use it for your purposes, right? If you want to attract more students, if you want to attract more applicants, if you want to attract more schools to post jobs, this is exactly what we want to do. We're all trying to be a voice for disability, and part of that voice is saying how you feel and empowerment, and that's what My Disability Story is all about. So if you're out there and you're at a school or a university or individual in somewhere in this mix, please turn the camera on yourself and talk about your upcoming event, talk about your cultural center, talk about your job, talk about your experience, because that is what this is all about. Marcia, where do we find you social media wise?
Well, I would say our most active social media place would be LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just search HERCJobs on LinkedIn, it kind of makes sense since the professional side, the job seeking side. And we also have a LinkedIn group that you can join as well.
Good.
But you can find the same name.
So are you going to each record one?
I would love to introduce Dream and honestly, our dreams, to be cliche, for the future. And not to say that in a cheesy way, but really a meaningful way, because college campuses need disabled students. I always say that it's more so that you'll find a place of belonging, but it's more so that you belong in these spaces and they need you.
Yeah.
So I would also say that feel free to reach out to us for our Dream Museum. That's exactly what I would love to create the first video about, because it is a collaborative effort to share resources, disability art, advice columns, and then opportunities for disabled college students in a screen reader accessible format. So that's my plan for my disability story.
Good. Make sure you tag us. Make sure you let us know it goes up. And Marcia, same thing. Love to see a video. And just if you're out there listening and wondering about the power of this, I will tell you, and I don't talk about this all that much. Our Instagram engagements went up 700% in July, and that's 700% is not a normal number. So, good for the community for doing that, because that's really what that is. And so we're proud of that. I promised you 20 minutes. I'm at 21 and a half, so I'm over time. Marcia, any last words?
No, just again, really encouraging people to share their stories and use the hashtag. I think one of our goals is at the end to do a nice compilation video that we can all share also with all our audiences. So it'll be great to have that, just a nice variety of stories, and just, yeah, I really hope people will post theirs.
Fantastic. Marcia Silva, M. Doffing, thank you very much for joining us on the Our Ability podcast.